Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live. Today, I just wanted to make sure, for those of you who've never watched the broadcast before, that I explain to you how this works. First of all, let me tidy that up. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to just do some news and views, updates on people, because that's always important to us, because we are an extended family. Hi there, Jody. And we like to just keep up to date with what people are doing and how they're doing, which is really important. So if you haven't watched the broadcast before and you're watching on the replay, please notice that below here there should be some notes that say from 00 to such and such news and updates, and then from this time onwards, the topic of the day. And the topic of today is going to be Let's Do It. And I say let's do it because what I want you to be able to do is to give you some ideas on a different mentality so that you can do it. I was most appreciative this week of getting a buddy in Jody, who helped me achieve something I'd been trying to achieve for over a week, just by holding me accountable for doing something. And it's really important in life that you get that support. If you're getting stuck on doing something, find somebody who cares enough about you to help you. And it doesn't mean that they do it. It means that they're going to check in to see, have you done it? And by the way, congratulations, Jody, on doing what you needed to do, because I think you will also say that, it makes a difference when you know somebody's going to ask you about, have you done it? And we've had a wonderful example of it with Lauren. For those of you who know Lauren, she is busy doing a course, and she had 4 units that she had to get finished by the beginning of October, I believe. I'm correct in that, Jody. Correct me if I'm wrong. And what we did was we pushed her at the beginning, really pushed her to get the first 2 units done by the end of, actually by the middle of August. And now she's in a situation now, it's the beginning of September, and she's got a couple of little bits to do on both of them, and then she's completely done. So I think that's incredible. And it isn't that we did it, but we cared enough to help her do it. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so, because it's really important that people, it's a bit like the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So if you know you need help doing things, then the truth is other people do too. So very, very important. I got an update from Jonas, from those of you who know Jonas. He was going for a job interview this week, and it was interesting because he was really interested in this first interview, hi Nada, that he did. And when he went to do the interview, he was not very happy. He was not very happy at all. And Nada, let me know if I can repeat that, please, publicly. And so just the way that the interviewer spoke to him and the judgments he made about him just really didn't go well with him at all. And certainly not in keeping with what he had seen in the ad for the job. However, instead of getting all down on himself, he had a second interview, and the second interview was great, and it was great by comparison to the first one. So you see, sometimes in life you are given what you think is going to be the opportunity, but it's actually a practice run for practice run for the one that really matters to you. And he got the second one. So that's awesome. All right, so Nada's saying to us, she's been going to therapy, and I'm glad to hear that that's going well, Nada. It's difficult work to do. She's settled into a new house, and she's been seeing a great guy who treats you amazingly. All right, so there you go. So big steps to take, Nada, all at the same time, right? going to therapy and moving and a new guy. That's 3 huge steps for you. So I'm hoping, have you got time to stick around for a while? Because I think some of what we're doing today will be of interest to you. All right, so now the achievement that I had this week, yeah, it's been a crazy few months for you. It sure has. I really admire that you've done all that. I feel like quite a slug by comparison. What I did this week, and this is going to sound really strange, but I took all my half-used eyeshadows, palettes, right? I had all of these half-used ones, and I think a couple of others as well. And what I did was I took them and made a new one. Now, how many of you would like to know how to do that? And not only that, but I also made myself some new contours out of, leftover powders and things. So I thought I would show you that, and I'm hoping that, some of you will let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see the video. I did put a bit of video together on how I did it, so if anybody would like to see that. I know a lot of people will say, oh gosh, but isn't that unhygienic or whatever? And just to let you know, I did do it using an alcohol in it so that the alcohol would make sure it was sterilized. And here I've got, I think the thing that I want you to see, because that's what's important to me, is I've got all of that and the space that it takes up into that, and the space that takes up. So, and then of course, I've still got more powders, by the way. I've got enough powder to probably make another 3 or 4 of these from leftover bits and powders. So this is the other thing. Now, Jody told me during the week that, she actually takes the ends of her lipsticks. You've got your lipstick like this, and then when you finished it, there's still a bit at the bottom. And she was telling me, well, what she does is she takes the ends and digs them out of the bottom and then melts them slowly in a microwave. And, then puts them into a round little tubby thing and uses them, which is great if you don't need a lipstick. I did an experiment, and I didn't record it, but I will do the next time that I do it. I did an experiment because what I wanted to know was, what if you actually just put it back in the tube? Right? So what I did is I took about 2 bits of lipstick out of the bottom of 2 things, and I mushed it all up in a saucer with a spatula, mixed it all together to get the new color, and then I shoved it back in the tube. I started by shoving the bit in the little bit you don't see, because I needed that solid, and then I started ramming it into the back into the tube. And what surprised me was it worked. So, just a couple of makeup tips. And here's the one that's going to really blow your mind. I really got to tell you, this blew my mind. Somewhere along the way, I saw something that said, if you're out of finishing powder, use baby powder. And I'm going, are you serious? So I had to try it. And that's what I got on today. And it goes beautifully with my top. So a couple of things just to save a few pennies here and there if you are interested. So I wonder, Jody, if you could just send me a reminder that I need to put that we've got some makeup tips in here. Okay, it's for the replay. So this is really important that we understand that. I said last week on one of the broadcasts that, if you take life as your school, the school of life, literally, that every day that you start the day, if you take it as, okay, here's my next lesson, it's my new study course today. Jody, I'm going to put a timestamp on this at 11 minutes. We're going to talk a bit today about let's do it, but let's do it for ourselves. And I say that because as we work through these quotes today, I want you to think about why this is important to you and stop worrying about everybody else and really work on you this week, all right? Because that's what we do here. We do a lot of self-growth and we do a lot of self-understanding. And, it's important. So the first quote I wanted to give you, and the quotes I'm going to use today are all from Dr. Wayne Dyer. I love his work because he really, he just says it like it is. And, I relate to that. So here's the first one. And the first one he says is simply be the qualities you seek in others. And I was thinking, boy, isn't that the truth? Let's not worry so much about, I'm really upset with Jane. She was really rude to me or whatever, and go, yeah, but where am I that rude to people? Because the chances are you are. Or how about, I can't believe so-and-so didn't phone me. Well, how about you stop there and look at yourself and go, when did I last phone? And then if you say, but I phoned the last 3 times, well, then either phone again or put down a boundary, right? So I think to simply be the qualities you seek in others, how many of you know that if you could do that, you'd be a much happier and much better person? And I sort of really had that happen to me this week where I was going, I haven't heard from so-and-so and I should have done by now. Why haven't they contacted me? And I went, well, why don't I just contact them? Well, I'm waiting for a reply to my last one. Well, don't worry about that. Just contact them again and pretend that the other one, isn't a big issue with you and see what happens. And I did that. And by the way, they immediately said, gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to get back to you on the last one. I've been life's got on the way, let's get together next week. So it was like, okay, fine, I'm happy now. I loved that quote because I think that all too often we spend so much time criticizing and waiting for the world to treat us better when in fact our job is to treat the world better. And if you can get that into your mind, if you can get that into your mentality, into your psyche, you will become much less judgmental. And if you become much less judgmental, you will actually be a much happier person. I wonder if that makes any sense to anybody. What makes us so unhappy, if you think about it, what makes us so frustrated is we can't control the world. We keep wanting to, but they refuse to be controlled by us, right? They just keep doing their thing and they keep doing it their way. I always said when I was on stage a lot and professionally speaking, one of the things I used to always say to my audiences is there's one thing I found out in life. There is only really one thing that causes me stress. People. People doing things their way. How many of you agree with me? And it was so funny because the audience used to pack up laughing because, it's so true. If only the people on the road would understand this is my road. And, they need to just blend into the back. I don't mind you using my road, just get behind me. Stop being in my way. How many of you can relate to that? Or, it's like, the electricity failed. Well, excuse me, don't you know I'm trying to cook? It's like when we can see that we are the controllers, and the very things that we criticize other people for is what we do. So what I want you to do is really get an even better sense of humor. So I hope that helped a couple of you. All right, now this one, I think Nada and Jody and a lot of other of my viewers will relate to this one. And it's so true. Remind yourself that you cannot fail at being yourself. Now, excuse me. I know that I spent a lot of my life trying to be like other people. I wonder if you can relate to that one. If only I could be as smart as so-and-so, or as funny as so-and-so, or as whatever. But the truth was that when I started speaking, I actually was quite a serious speaker. Not only was I a serious speaker, but I also took cards with me where I pretended to have notes on it, which I never did, because I speak, from the heart. And so the really weird thing was that one day I just, did my thing. I didn't try to do the perfect speech. I just was me. And I noticed there was a complete change in the audience. They were laughing twice as much. They were crying with laughter in places and everything else. And the reason is that I was just being me. Now, I know some of you have noticed this, that when I do the driving vlogs, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but it's my little one-liners that really make those entertaining. And I say that in as much as I don't even think about those little things that I say on a day-to-day basis. But a lot of people have written to me and said that, I love to watch the driving vlogs because of the things that you say in between, and I go, okay, that's interesting, because that's exactly the truth. So you cannot fail at being yourself. But let me ask you something. What if being yourself and you're being crabby and you're being frustrated and you're being angry? Can you fail your friends or your loved ones if you are doing that? And I would say the only person you fail is yourself, right? And I'm pretty sure you've all felt that, where when you look back on it later, you think, I could, I could have done better than that. And that is the time to have the character to apologize and go, okay, fine, I'm really sorry for that. I'm not going to waste time on excuses. I treated you badly and I'm sorry. I will never be able to take it back. I can only pray for your forgiveness and hope that I haven't broken our trust level. Move on. And it doesn't really, you shouldn't have to grovel for the next 10 years. And by the way, if they keep bringing it up for the next 10 years, you may want to think about that person as your friend. All right, now you've always heard me say at the end of my vlogs, look after one another, but most of all, look after yourself. So hopefully this next quote falls in line with that. And that is, love yourself first and everything else falls into line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in this world. And the interesting thing was that that quote came from Lucille Ball. And there was somebody who was an icon in humor and an absolute trailblazer in terms of so many things that she did that really a lot of people just don't give her credit for. All right, so here's another one of Wayne Dyer's one. The ultimate ignorance is the rejection of something you know nothing about, yet you refuse to investigate. That is being dumb. For those of you who know Dougie, I had a call from Doug yesterday, and Doug and I were talking. I had sent him a quote that I saw, and forgive me for being political just for a second, because I saw this quote that just blew my mind, and it said, taking a lie detector into the White House would be like taking a drug-sniffing dog into Studio 54. And, I just burst out laughing when I saw it. And I had to send it to Doug because he appreciates those sort of things. And he gave me a call last night, and we were busy discussing what was going on. And, he said to me, he calls today's society the microwave society. Everything has to be instant. We only want our news to be this long. And if it's longer than this, it bores us. We only want this to be this long. We only want blogs to be this long. We only want whatever. And he calls it the microwave society. And he said, you can really tell the difference when you're talking to somebody and you know that they have done more than this. And I was quite surprised because he said, Sal, one of the things I love about talking stuff with you, regardless of what part of the news it is, not just political, is that, you can always tell that you've dug deeper into this. You haven't just done this, you've looked at that amount, and sometimes this amount. And I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that, honey. And he said, no, that's serious. He said, do you know how few people actually do that? And how many people presume that just because it was on Google somewhere, that it's the truth. I said, I know, that frightens me. I'm amazed how many of my viewers have told me something, and you just know that they've seen it somewhere on Google and they haven't checked the source of it, but just because it's on Google, it must be the truth. And that's no disrespect to Google. That's really important. So the ultimate ignorance is the rejection of something you know nothing about, yet you refuse to investigate. That is being dumb, all right? So before you reject something, check it out. And I really loved that quote. And the same thing about can you reuse half-used eye makeup in a healthy way? And I investigated that, and I went, oh, look at that, people are doing that. Let me see how they do that. Oh, that doesn't look like it's rocket science. You don't have to have a PhD or anything to do that. Let me try it. And I did. And then, it was the baby powder thing, funny enough, that was the absolute sort of clincher for me. I went, use baby powder? And I thought, there's only one way to find out. Try it. All right, now then, how do you relate to this one? This is another of Wayne Dyer's, and it said, it's tough when someone special starts to ignore you. But it's even tougher to pretend that you don't mind when you really do. Right, now, if you're human, it's happened to us all, right? Where somebody we really care about, suddenly the distance is greater. And I talk about that in terms of, try not to give more than 50% in a relationship. And the reason for that is if you are constantly the one doing the work, excuse me, if you're constantly the one doing the work, you don't actually have a solid relationship, because this person is not moving towards you at all. They're just being who they are. They're not reaching out. They are staying where they are, and you are the one doing. How exhausting is this? You can see it, right? This person isn't using any energy. They're just staying where they are, and they're letting everybody else come around. I met somebody who did that socially once and said the trick is when you go into a room, if you're important enough, and he thought he was, if you're important enough, you can stand in one place and everybody will come to you. So I thought that was interesting. And it's, by the way, it is, in some ways, it is very true. But also, can you see the arrogance of that? And so to me, this is about, it's tough when someone special starts to ignore you, but feel the feeling, I'm the one doing all the work, right? But it's even tougher to pretend you don't mind when you really do. So here's something that I found in life, which is if I've got a situation where I'm the one doing all the work, I will actually call it for what it is, because, you know, that's who I am. I'll go, hey, I've noticed I've made the last 3 telephone calls. So I just thought I'd give you a heads up on that one. And then wait to see if they make another call. And if they don't, then I make another decision. You see, this is the choice I make. Then I make another decision. Is this person important enough in my life that I want to continue to chat with them even on their terms? In other words, they're the ones that are going to stand still and I'm the one that's going to have to be running backwards and forwards. And because some relationships I have are important enough to me that I will do that. All right. There are others where I'm going, this isn't important enough for me to be doing this. Right. I prefer a two-way trade on this. So that's a personal decision. So then I don't need to complain about it. I know what's going on. I know the game and I'm choosing to play it. I'm choosing not to set down a boundary. I'm just choosing to play the game. It's about what I do, not what about they do. Okay. I like this one. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice. I really want to give credit to my friend Yvonne on this one. I cannot tell you the difference in, hi Kerry, the difference in her knowledge level since she got a tablet, you know, or it was when I say a tablet, but, you know, since smartphones came in and everything else, because what she did was she was constantly double checking everything. You know, Sal used a word I don't understand. Let me go check what it means, you know, and luckily Google will allow you to get the spelling wrong or whatever. But, you know, and you know, every now and then she'll come up with something and I go, boy, that's a 75-cent word. Where did you find that? She said, you've used it. And I went, that's true. That's very true. Yep. And I said, but the fact that you used it and used it in the right context is awesome. And she went, no, I checked it out, how to use it. You see, I'm looking at that and I'm going with the knowledge we have available today. How many of you, whenever you want to do something, don't even bother with the manuals anymore? You just type it into YouTube. By the way, there are 2 sorts of learners, and I want to check with you. How many of you prefer to see how to do it? And how many of you prefer the written so you can do it at your speed? So which are you? I'd like to watch the instruction or I like to read it. Because what you have to understand in life is people learn in different ways. And you will see me sometimes, I'll pick up a piece of paper and draw it for people because I know that some people will understand this better if I draw it rather than just talk about it. Yeah, Kerry's saying that she prefers to see it. She's a visual learner. I think there's some things I can learn visually, but if it's complicated, I need to have the written so I can take it one bit at a time. You know what I mean? Okay, plug point A into point B. If I'm doing that on the visual, I've got to keep stopping the video. So if it's something really complicated, what I will do is I will print it out. Or I'll have the instructions on another peripheral. You know, if I'm trying to do it on the computer, I'll have the instructions on the tablet or on my phone. All right, so I can be looking at that and then try it, and then take the next step and then try it. So for me, I know that I am a multifaceted learner, right? Sometimes I can do it just by, sometimes I will just put up the video and they'll watch the first 3 steps and go, okay, now I understand. Thanks very much. Goodbye. But I won't close down that tab. I'll just halt it, and then I'll go and do it. And if I can't finish it, I'll go back for the rest of the instruction. I am not somebody that's good with all the instructions. So would you agree with me? In the age of information, ignorance is now a choice. The one thing that I know all the major, Zuckerberg and everybody else around social media, what they realize is they have the ability to educate the world. With Google, Facebook, and all those things. Yeah, Kerry. And so that's why I'm saying I'm mainly a visual if it's something I need to quickly learn how to do. But boy, if it's complicated, if it's about technical stuff, I need to have it printed out so I can read it. Amazing. Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. I'm not sure I totally agree with this one, but let's have a little discussion about it. The more informed you are, the less arrogant and aggressive you are. I'd love to say yes to that. It brings tears to my eyes. I would say in some ways, yes. In some ways, I would agree with that. But in some ways, I find that the more informed you are, you can't help but sound arrogant to others. All right, because it comes through in your voice tone or whatever. Somebody says to me 1 and 1 equals 3. I can try as much as I can to go, really? But somewhere I am going to let rip, either in my eyes or my, or the fact that I turn and walk away and go and talk to somebody else. And by the way, that quote came from Nelson Mandela. So that's interesting. So I was trying to work out why that hit me so hard. I think there are times when I really am aggressive on things. I know I get triggered, and then I'm pretty certain that let's say that I'm not proud of myself occasionally. Do any of you relate to that? And so, but it is who I am, and it is, I always say to myself that, you have to forgive yourself the fact that that's your stage of learning. And if it's not that you need to forgive yourself for bad behavior, I don't believe that. I think you need to apologize for bad behavior, but only once you can see that it is bad behavior. I've had a lot of people, treat me quite harshly, even here on DearMamaSal. And I try really hard to keep compassionate, because I go, hopefully one day they'll understand what I was saying, hopefully. And so, what I would encourage you to do is to be aware. Where are you embarrassing yourself? Hi, Beth. Good to see you. And enjoy folding your laundry. That's just awesome. All right. Now then, this is an interesting one. We're taking some life quotes that I think will make a difference to us. Here we go. This is like, I don't care if you're going to tell everybody about what I've done to you, but please just don't forget to tell them what you did to me. You know something? I don't believe that second part, because I don't think that's true. I don't think that, I think people who are going to spend their life telling other people what you did to me or what I did to you, they're not the people that have the ability to own up to their own stuff 9 times out of 10. So I find that one, think about that. If you have to tell them. Okay. Yeah, and this is the one that hugs. Bye-bye, Nada. When you blame, enjoy your work. Thank you for joining us in your lunch break. When you blame and criticize others, you are avoiding some truth about yourself. All right. So we're just getting a bit of feedback on the Let's Do It from last week. Kerry's letting us know that the man in her life has now hung up his clothes and put them away, and now she has to do the same. Yes, that is an interesting one. And by the way, Jody did exactly what she undertook to do, and I did what I undertook to do as well. So we will, when we get to the end of this, we'll put down some new goals for the week. So how many of you are really learning about this mirror? I am all the time, when I hear myself say something negative about somebody else, and I wish I didn't, but I do, I turn the mirror and I go, where is that important in your life? What have you done to somebody else that's showing up in your life? And, I look at it when how many of you have noticed that there are some people in our lives that, or even in our broadcast, that spend their life complaining about things over which they have control. And I think that is one of the things that really fascinates me. And yet they choose not to do anything. You will know that quite often, I will hear somebody complaining about some physical pain or illness or whatever. And my first question is, what did the doctor say? In other words, if you haven't bothered to go to the doctor, please don't look for sympathy. Now, I'm not saying that, for example, yesterday I had planned to go into the studio and do something creative. And just as I was about to go, it was a really weird thing. I was just about to go, and suddenly my vision changed. I got an ocular migraine. If anybody's had one, you will know how disconcerting that is. It's like somebody took a cookie cutter, a Christmas cookie cutter, and then shifted, cut into your vision and then shifted it. So you're seeing this sort of prism going on in your vision. And it's quite honestly, the first time it happened to me, I thought I was having a stroke. But it has to do, I believe, with stress. And I'm going, I don't see that I'm stressed. I was just about to go into the studio. How stressful is that? None. But it was weird, because just as I was going to go into the studio, my whole brain started to shift a bit, and then I got the ocular thing going, and I went, oh gosh, and now I've got an ocular migraine. So I know from experience, don't complain about it. The important thing to do is to rest, and if possible, stay away from the electronics, which for me isn't very possible. But then after and I took some ibuprofen, but it was interesting because a couple of hours later, the prism had stopped, and I still had promised myself I would do something creative. Oh, interesting. Jody, I love that. Jody's mentioning the fact that maybe it's allergy related from the smoke residue of the fires. You can hear it in my voice, right? and the cough. Oh, you are good, Jody. You've been worrying about that, I bet you. You heard me cough and you could hear it in my voice. She's such a mother hen. I love it. So that's where she's relating it to, that maybe the ocular migraine came from. Yeah, I totally get it. I can see you doing it. Anyway, it may be, Jody, but quite honestly, I can see a little bit of blue sky when I look out today. So a lot of the smoke has gone. We've had rain. All right, but Jody, what I thought I'd show you is what I did manage to do yesterday as opposed to what I didn't. And so when I felt good enough to do it, oops, let me get out of the way. What I did was I made, painted these for my pendants. Now, I didn't paint them, I just rolled them in paint. But I just thought it made a nice presentation for the pendants. And as some of you know, I've always wanted a good use for toilet rolls, and now I've got it. Totally got it. Hang on a second. I just want to, oops. Plus, it also, hang on, I'm just tightening this up a bit. It also uses up old paint nicely. You know what I mean? It's a great way. Yeah, perfect. Win-win. So I'll put those there. And now what I'm doing, I've done a second set. And what I did with the second set is slightly whiter color, because I realized that on some of these, you almost can't see the pendant because it blends in so well with the coloring. So we're trying that. Okay, so Jody, I gave myself the bonus point for still doing something creative, even though I didn't have the ability to do a full painting. Now, Jody, if I tell you the painting that I am trying to get to do, you will help me achieve that this week. What I want to do is I want to do a beach scene, but I want to use real sand for the sand. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Carrie, that her dog has got an ear infection. Ah. So, Jody, it will be, I've got to do some test runs on it first, but here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if I put the glue down, put the sand on, and then varnish most of it, all right? Because I want it to look glossy, if that makes sense. And then I will start from, okay, so I will start the sand at the bottom and varnish it so that I can wipe paint off it and stuff. And then I'm going to start at the top and go from very dark colors coming forward to very light colors. And then, of course, it will end up being very clear. So I will take the sand quite a way in. Be interesting to see if I can do it. Now, the sand that I take all the way in, I won't varnish. I just want to varnish the sort of this level here. Whoops, but 1/3 level, because I want it to look glassy, you know, as the foam comes over it. I don't know if it'll work, but, you know, it's what I want to try. And I realized that I've got a lot of paints that I am going to get rid of before I move. And a lot of them are blues. So I'm not going to use all of them, but I'm going to use them as bases for other, you know, for heavier blues. In other words, I will take this color blue and add more proper blue to it, and that way use up some of the older paint, but also, you know, keep the vibrance of the colors. So it's going to be an interesting experiment to do, but it will take me probably all day to do it. First, I need one day to actually put the sand down and let it dry. And then so it'll take all week if I work at it. But that's what having fun is about, right? And experiencing things like that. So wish me luck on that one. And that's why I was excited about going to the studio yesterday and why my heart broke when I got the ocular migraine. So I like to think that my mind needed more time to think about what I was doing. So, wow. Listen to this one. It says, you will never understand the damage that you did to someone until the same thing is done to you. How many of you have lived that? How many of you have judged someone for borrowing money and then been in a position where you had to, even though you didn't want to, and swore you never would? How many of you have judged somebody for whatever, and then found yourself in exactly the same thing? Yes, Jody, it would be interesting to put a real life shell on that piece of art, but it would, I've seen that done, and the perspective is all wrong. You understand? Because the shell is so big on something that is very small, in perspective. So to me, I'm not sure whether I would do that. I think if I were going to do that, I would probably crush up some shell and add it to the sand. But that's what sand is anyway, so. It's going to be interesting to try it. So how many of you have had that happen to you where you judge something on somebody, and then, boy, the same thing happened to you and you went, wow. And you just thought to yourself, boy, and I judged somebody for this. I definitely have had that happen to me, and I went, oh gosh, that is not fun. So this is a quote that I saw, and I wanted to talk a little around it, which was, over time, you realize that some people aren't worth it anymore. That really, it's not worth the aggravation and the stress that it causes you. But, although I agree with that, and I have had that happen, I still like to believe that they are still in my life, right? I will, if they ask for forgiveness or, ask to be friends again, it won't be the same, but I 9 times out of 10, I will move on with them. I will go, okay, fine, let's start again. And let's see how we do, because I realize it's a two-way trade. So I don't sort of banish people forever. When I say banish them, and I've had people who've left, for example, the broadcast and who've come back. And then, it's like, that's okay. That's okay with me. It's just like, if there's any way we can help, I'd be happy. Now then. Wow, that's an interesting one. Jody, I'm presuming that I can repeat that. And Beth too. All right, I know you both well enough. This is the interesting thing here, right? Jody says, when life circumstances just wipe out your life savings and certainly puts you in a situation of experiencing feelings you just never thought you would. My illness wiped us out. Yeah, I had the same thing happen to me, Jody. I got sick and wiped out my life savings. And it's interesting how people judge you for that too. It's like, why didn't you save for that? Well, I didn't know that was going to happen, did I? And I did have savings, but not enough. So yeah, I totally relate to that. But that does not define you, as you found out, Jody. All right. What you found out is that does not define you. It's not who you are. It is what you've become in some ways, but it's not who you are. And Beth is saying, when there's more pain than joy with somebody, I can't do it anymore. Yes, I've had to do the same thing, Beth. All right, which is, this is too painful. I choose not to go through this pain anymore. And, Kerry made a comment earlier, I've been brought to my knees a couple of times because of my ego. How many of you know that this is about our ego, right? We want them to change and they're never going to change. And we just can't handle it. Does that make us less than? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't think that the fact that we choose not to take the drama anymore is not a less than thing. I want to tell you that my life has changed dramatically since I got rid of the drama. Right? I don't want the drama anymore. Right? Hey, if you want to fight me, that's fine. I personally don't want to fight anymore. Yeah, Kerry's saying she had to cut people out of her life because she couldn't take the headaches anymore. Right. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. So it's not about, I'm not saying that we are necessarily better people for that. What I'm saying is that we made a conscious choice to say, it's enough. I've had enough. Yes, and you see, Beth, I agree with you. She's saying that if a sister needed her for help, she'd still give it, but she wouldn't be taking the drama. I've got exactly the same situation. I am not the doormat anymore. I think Pat. For those of you who know Pat, this is Pat's big learning when she came to the broadcast as well. I choose not to be the doormat anymore. I don't mind helping, but I will not be the doormat. I will not have you wipe your dirty shoes on me and stomp on me. And, I am not a doormat. I am a human being and I deserve respect and I deserve understanding. And if you choose not to give it, that's your right. But I'm not going to be the doormat. So, there's a freedom in that. There she is. Hi, Pat. Pat, I always think about you when I talk about this because I just remember so clearly the day that you decided to say no to that. Do I think it's an age thing that I don't want to put up with the drama anymore? It was for me. I think I had to mature and grow up. I'm surprised sometimes, I don't know if any of you agree with me, how childish I have been on a lot of things in my life. But when I grew up, you know what I mean, then it was different. Yeah, and Kerry's saying that she's cut out nearly every family member on the one side of her family because she doesn't want the drama anymore. She deserves peace, not headaches. Yeah, it's like, I think that's part of becoming an adult. So, but the thing is this, how many of you dread the family get-togethers, the Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever? And that's why we need to work very carefully to not isolate ourselves away from those days. Wow, Beth, that's amazing. Beth saying, when I calmly stated how I felt with my sister, she cried and said that she didn't realize that she was like that. But she still reverts back to how she always treats me. Of course, that's her way. Until she learns the lessons, Beth, she will continue to. Yeah, and Linda joins us from the UK, but Linda's saying, oh, I've been childish, Sal. I allow people in my life as long as they don't make things complicated. Now, that's the new learning. Hey, Linda, so proud of you. Yeah, and you know something, Linda, I remember when you first joined us, and that is that is quite something. Now, Beth's saying that her sister's not hearing or she can't change. No, Beth, see it a different way, if you can. If I may make that suggestion, you may choose to see it that she's learning at her speed, all right? And she hasn't got to that place where she's ready to learn these things yet. You see, the whole reason that you guys join the broadcast is because you want to change what you're doing. You know that it's not all about them anymore. You know that you control, and you just need help learning how to do that. All right. And so I think it's really important to have compassion of that. It's not that they don't want to learn, it's they're not ready to learn. And, you know, how many of you, I think about that. You have to think about what made you stay and listen to the vlogs. You were ready to learn something. All right. Or you were ready to laugh at yourself, which I think is part of the learning. And if you notice, I try really hard to talk about something and then turn the mirror on myself and give you an example where I still do that, because I want you to understand, for as long as we live, we probably will need to be doing the work. You know, it's not okay, that's it, I got it, move on. Yeah, I'm not the perfect person. No, it's just, yes, Linda's saying sometimes those closest give the most criticism, but it's usually because it affects them. Yeah, if you realize, I really have to choose to revisit a book every now and then called Nonverbal Communication, Non-Aggressive Communication. Because what it talks to is, if somebody is fighting you, something is upsetting them at some level. Is it true? Well, thank you. You know, Beth's saying that she started watching the broadcast because I felt something inside. She felt something inside her. Maybe the 2x4, that's when I tell her straight truth, made a huge impact in that moment of her life. I chose to hear the truth and listen to myself, yes. And would you say that you have been happier because of that? And that you're setting different boundaries because of that? Because I think that's the important thing to realize, that this is all about not being selfish, but making sure that you're not constantly doing all the work for everybody else. 1,000 times happy. Ah. And do you laugh at yourself a lot more, Beth? You know, you go, oops, yeah, maybe I wasn't so perfect then. Yeah. And that's another great quote. Yes, I love you, but I'm done fighting for your attention. I love that. And this one, how about nobody is worth stressing over? People come and go. Move on and go find yourself. The world is yours. Life goes on. So many of us don't want to upset anybody because, you know, that's my only friend now. Wow. Kerry says, I lucked out by coming here. You guys helped me grow up. Wow. That's awesome, Kerry. That brings tears to my eyes too. But, you know, you understand that that's what personal growth is, right? We all do it at our own speed. Yes, Kerry's saying, and supported me and encouraged me to be better. Well, we're all doing that, right? Wow, Linda's saying, no, it might sound silly, but for me, I'm okay. I just had my hair done and put makeup on. Some people don't like the change. Yeah, and she said she put makeup on even though she's not going anywhere. Yeah, I think that's called caring for yourself. All right. You took the time to do something for yourself, and that's put on makeup. And Linda, again, when I think about the state you were in when we first met you, all right, that to me is amazing. But what I find even more amazing is that you still come back, right? You've made the changes. Kerry's made the changes. Jody's made the changes. But you still are there. Beth definitely made a huge lot. Actually, Beth, I don't mind telling you that when you first came, I had a question mark as to whether you were for real. Right? And I can tell you that because I've never seen anybody make that many changes in such a short space of time. And Beth's saying, I realized I don't have to be the best at everything. Wow. If I don't do a chore like I used to do, she's OCD on those things, right? I just giggle and think about how devastating it used to be. And now it doesn't matter, right? Excellent is good enough, Beth. Right? Just tell yourself excellent is good enough. Yeah, Kiri says, I'm learning to take care of myself and I quit twisting myself into a pretzel. Yeah. That's always, I always take that with Jody in mind, right? Because that was Jody's big change moment when I said, aren't you fed up with being a pretzel? Yeah, anyway, so to go back to the Beth story. Manon, comment ça va? The Frenchies have arrived. Wow, and listen to this. What Linda is saying is she keeps coming back. That's how I want to pay it back. Yes, you want to be the example for others. Manon, it is wonderful to see you. Hi, Sakura. Sakura, can I use your real name online? It's great to see you, Manon. And by the way, how's the driving? Now, I'm asking Manon this because when I get goosebumps on this one, because when I first met Manon, she had a number of things going on in her life, but one of them was trying to take her driver's test. And she was going through driving instructors like people go through, pantyhose. And I just said to her, don't quit on yourself. If you want to get your driving license, you keep going until you find a driving instructor who can cope with you. And I know that sounds like it was almost impossible for her to imagine because she'd been through so many, bless her heart. But the interesting thing was that she did hang in there and she did get her driving license. So Kerry's saying that moving to Kansas changed her life for the better, but you think about the incredible trauma you had to go to be able to get to Kansas, all right? You had to put up with all sorts of abuse that ended up with you moving to Kansas. Think about that, right? Well, Manon's saying that she's a little better now, but she's been in pain. She fell down a few weeks ago. I'm a great believer that that's God telling you to slow down, Minnow. You know what I mean? When things like that happen to me, I just go, okay, apparently I meant to not do too much for the next couple of weeks. Wow. And Linda's saying that she didn't learn to drive until she was 29. She was determined to take her sons to school, and she did. Oh boy, Linda, I can imagine what that felt like. Yeah. And Carrie's saying, now she realizes she's got a great family. I got my license, I got a car, I've got a job, I'm doing great. Exactly. Yeah, and Manon, I would listen to life. All right, I would listen to life and actually take a little bit of time. I was saying the same thing to Beth. Beth is a go, go, go Energizer bunny as well. And one of the things that she was starting to complain about was she had a cough and that she thought it might be bronchitis. And I did say to her, boy, if that is bronchitis, be a good girl, listen to what they say. If they tell you to go to bed and rest, do it. And the reason I said that is because, I'm Superwoman, or used to be. And, I cannot tell you how sick I made myself by not listening to that instruction. Yes, Linda says, and just remember that your family who is close to you is not necessarily a blood relative. Wow. Wow. Sakura saying, I'm learning how to drive now. She's just doing car parks for now, just getting the feeling for it. I want to tell you something. That's what I used to do, Sakura. When I wanted to learn how to haul my trailer, I would drive to an industrial area that is close to me, and I do that at the weekends when this big industrial area was basically empty because it's an industrial area, but their car parks are big and their loading docks are big. And I used to take the trailer there and practice how to back it up. Oh, I got an itch on my nose. And just keep doing it one step at a time. Sakura, I'm doing the same thing. So to me, it's like I one of the conversations I had with Doug this week was about how much he values what I am doing in terms of downsizing at my speed, not at everybody else's. Yeah, Sakura, I want to tell you, it's a great way to learn how to back something up. Now, if you get a motorhome, as opposed to a trailer, it's different again, all right? So a motorhome I found really easy. I didn't have a problem with the motorhome at all. It's just a little bit wider, not a whole lot wider. So, all right, spatial recognition. Let me explain that to Manon. Manon is talking in a second language, as am I. Okay, so Manon, spatial recognition is what you have a problem with. All right, you don't have a real sense, or you didn't have a real sense of distance between something over there, and that's why you hit the odd thing now and then. What size trailer are you thinking of getting? Yeah, so spatial awareness, Manon, was that problem you had driving. All right, your sense of distance. You had to learn that sense of distance before you could pass your test. And a lot of people don't have it naturally, right? They've got to learn it. I found with my trailer, it takes time. Yes, I found with my trailer, it took me the longest time. And now the funny thing is I can park my trailer pretty well, but now I get upset if I don't park it straight. You know what I mean? Talk about a difference. There have been times when I park my trailer, it's literally this far away from the hedge, but it's slightly off center. You know what I mean? It's not square. And you know, sometimes I just go, who cares? And I move on. And sometimes I have to go back and get it straight. Yeah, I would definitely, if he's tall, I would recommend a fifth wheel because you've got so much more headroom. That's why I'm going for a fifth wheel. You get much more, if you've got the ability, a fifth wheel has a lot more height in it. It's not, and I think you'll notice that difference if you live in it full time. How many cars did I bump into? Manon saying, be honest. I have to be honest. Far as I know, touch wood, there's some wood on my chair. I didn't hit a car, but I know that somewhere on Vancouver Island, there is a newspaper box that probably has some of my first RV, my motorhome, my some of the paintwork on it. I didn't know how you went round corners quite as well as I do now. And I, oops, apparently I need to do a bigger arc than that. Yeah, if you always, and it's all about learning. Yeah, some of my paint is still on I've got a feeling that I actually knocked it over, but it was late at night. Thank you. And then I don't believe there were too many witnesses. Okay, and Linda's saying she took the front bumper off her Volvo. Okay. Beth's saying she failed her first driving test. Most people do, Beth. They do that on purpose, right? They need you to really know what you're doing. Yeah, you haven't hit anything yet, right? But you feel sorry for the curbs, yes, and also for your hubcaps. So this is like to me, I think the most surprising driving test I ever did was in LA, because when I went to LA, even though I'd been driving for some time, you have to take your test again. And it's a road test. It's not just a written test. You have to go and do the road test again. And I was surprised how well I did. Yeah, I think curbs are everybody's issue, right? Curbs and things on corners, right? Because you've got to learn, especially if you're pulling a trailer behind you. And it's very different in a motorhome or if you're pulling a trailer. So, interesting stuff. Now, how about this one? You will never have to chase what wants to stay with you. Not just who, but what wants to stay with you. All right, and that's why I am not pushing on what I'm doing with the fifth wheel. I'm not pushing hard. I'm keeping in touch and making sure we do this. But it's like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Wow. Listen to this one. Yes, Linda, don't you think that's freeing? And Linda's saying, oh, that's a good one, Sal. It means I stop changing. All right. Yes, just a fifth wheel isn't a regular trailer, Manon. It's one where the top bit goes up. It has two levels. You go up some stairs, and this bit goes over the back of a truck. But I'm going to live in it permanently. That's what my new life choice is. I want to lower my carbon footprint. I want to downsize completely and just take the money, the equity that I've built up, and enjoy the rest of my life, but not in keeping a big apartment going, or I'm going to sell the house, and take that equity and just do things for me and live more simply, but do things for me. It's quite a life choice. So how many of you have something that you want to get done this week? Or this? Manon says she doesn't care what it is as long as it's pink. I wonder if that will last a lifetime for you, Manon. So let's think for a second. Okay, Jody, and can you discuss what it is you want to get done? I've got this new system now, by the way, so just so that you guys understand. I'm getting close enough towards I can start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and this downsizing. And I have this cycle. I fill up a box upstairs, I take it downstairs, I tidy up a bit in the garage, and then come back again with an empty box, or whatever. And it's really getting the garage done without even noticing it. So it's great. Do we need a challenge? Yeah, we do a challenge on Fridays, Linda. All right, everybody, finds one thing that they're procrastinating about, and let's take a step forward. Okay, so Sakura's not sure what she's going to. That's Sakura. Don't do it for a lifetime. What I've said to all my friends is I'm going to do it for a year, right? I will put away enough money so that if it doesn't work, I will still be able to, move into an apartment, to be able to buy an apartment. But for a year, I'm going to completely downsize. Yeah. And, so to me, this is about nothing in life. Sakura, I want you to get this really into your mind. Don't worry about whether it's for the rest of your life. See that you're doing this for a good reason for the short, for the short term. And if you enjoy it, it will be for the long term. Does it make sense? I think all too often we are, I've even had this discussion with my realtors, because they're pretty confused about what I'm doing. That I'm making such a big change. And they obviously don't think I'm going to be happy. But I said to them, I want to learn to live with less. All right. And so the biggest shift is to learn how to live with a lot less. And then I can decide what to bring back into my life. And I'm noticing, right? I'm noticing, hey, Manon, wait. This is what I was saying. I emptied this many pallets of partially used makeup and downsized it to one. And so I look at it and say, this requires, some effort. And by the way, dropping it on the floor made half of those break up again, not half of them, but a couple of them. So this is the downsize. I downsized from this many to this. So to me, that's what I'm learning to do. And I wouldn't be doing it if I were not downsizing. There are a lot of issues with its integrity structural wise. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to travel, or are you going to I've had my trailer for 20 years. Well, Manon, I'm doing it in every part, literally, and that's why it took me so long to get my studio started. All right. So to me, it's really important. And yes, and Linda's saying that she's now brought a tall boy, which is a higher set of shelves, right? As opposed to having a dressing table. A dressing table was considered the right thing to have, but she realizes in her life she needs more drawer space for the things that she does. What suits her better is more space. I assure you that my realtor has told me, do not take your glass table to that trip to the fifth wheel. It's too big. I'm going, there's room for it. There's room for it in the slide out. And I want my glass table so that if I want to, I can work at it in this winter. Because a glass table is a great craft table. You can drop almost anything on a glass table and get it off. Yeah. And so, but here's the interesting thing, Sakura. Once you're in, you're in. You understand that? So if you get a, most of them say that they want it to be like 5 years old. All right. Sorry, 10. Some say 5, most say 10. So it's like once you're in, though, if it's a permanent situation, once you're in, you're in. They don't care. Once it goes over 10 years, it doesn't matter. You're in. So that's why I spent a lot of time finding somewhere where I could get in long term. And that's what I found. So the other thing is, Sakura, I actually bought a fifth wheel. I'm in the process of buying a fifth wheel that is already there. All right. That this is the new thing. That this is like people are selling their fifth wheels. They've got a resort location and they're selling their fifth wheel where it is, with all the additions and everything else. So think about that. Start looking for that. People that are selling their trailer that is already in a good location. So that's just a thought. I think Linda's point about, you remember what I said to you some months ago, which is if you had to give away one room in your living environment, which one would you give away? And almost everybody said the dining room. To me, I would give my living room away before my dining room in some ways, because my living room has the big table. I would give away my art room if I could keep my dining room, because I know I could paint on my big table. I would just need to change the storage around it. And so to me, I found it really interesting that when I was shopping with the realtor, the realtor says, boy, you'd want to make this a really nice, cozy sitting area. And I'm going, where is her mind? Her mind is me having visitors. That's not where my mind is. My mind is not about everybody else. It's been that all my life. Now it's what suits me. And what suits me? A big table. And she said, well, you can have a put you up one that you can take it down. And nope, I want my glass table. Now, if I find out that it doesn't work, I can take it out and then buy another one. But I'm going to start off by taking my table with me. Because I think it's going to look pretty. I'm not going there to make it look pretty. I'm going there because I want to do what I want to do for the next. For those of you who remember Burt Reynolds, he passed today. He was in his early 80s. I keep thinking to myself, if I've got 10, 15 years left, what do I want to do? I don't want to be entertaining. Right? I want to be, when I say entertaining, right? The friends I have, right? The friends that I have, if they come to visit, it's called, hey, pull up a chair. I've got really nice chairs, pull up a chair. By the way, the chairs belong to the table. already done that, Beth. The slide out into which it will fit, the slide out is 17 feet. This table is 9. There's still room for a lazy boy at the end of it. And I will take a couple of my good chairs, my chairs, dining room chairs with me. But what I will do is actually put it absolutely flush against the slide out, right? And then have maybe three chairs instead, or 3 or 4 chairs instead of 6. So to me, it's about, I will, the other thing is it's air conditioned inside. So quite often it's going to be too hot to maybe, work anywhere else in the summer, but I still need something cool enough that I can work in to do the art. Because if you don't have cool, you can't do a lot of painting. So, because everything cracks. I found that out the hard way. So this is about, living life to suit you, not to suit your friends. Just how many of you have gardens? Do any of you have a garden? And one of the things I say to people is one of the first things I learned now is that, plant your garden to be not a lot of work for you, not to impress your neighbors. Yeah. Pat, one of the things I love. Oh no, it has heat as well, Manon. It does have heat, yeah. And it's called 4-season, Manon. In other words, not only does it have heat, but it actually pushes heat through the underneath storage areas and stuff like that. So, it's really quite clever how they do these. Actually, Manon, if you'd like to see it, I will send you the link. And Linda says, yeah, my garden is the size of a field, but it's been neglected for 30 years, so it's a huge task. You know something, Linda? I had that happen when I first got married. And the first thing I did was bring in one of those proper commercial type lawnmowers and just mow everything down. And I was amazed how much better it looked. That was a good start. And then I decided how much did I want to actually really tend well and make into garden, and how much did I want to just let be wild and throw the wildflower seeds in there. Yeah, so you just do a little bit at a time. You know what I mean? Just literally say, okay, this year we're going to do this bit, and this year we're going to do this bit. And eventually you'll get it all done, one bite at a time. Beth, you're asking, will I get it inspected? No, it is considered a purchase. I mean, what it is, it's a trailer. The interesting thing is that the man that's selling it is an HVAC person, somebody who does heating and air conditioning for a living, and he has completely redone all the plumbing in it. So all the plumbing in it is commercial, high-grade, residential plumbing. That's the most important thing. That was a big selling point to me, quite honestly. So I look at what next step do you want to take. So Jody, what is the next step you want to take this week? Let's get some stuff down on everybody's list now. And the rest of you, let me know what steps you want to take so that we can follow up with you. Okay, so Jody, her Friday commitment is she's going to clean off 2 tables in the living room. Okay? And some of you will go, I know what you mean. Okay. Good. Okay, Beth says she failed at reading. Now, that was an interesting thing, Beth. Can I just talk about that for a second? Beth said last week that she was going to stop, relax, and read. And she wrote to me during the week and said, well, she sat and read to her grandson. Does that count? And I said, that is an integrity issue. You have to ask yourself, are you cheating yourself? Only you can answer that. I can't, right? So Beth, good for you. I'm proud of you, all right? That you can see that actually was a cheat, all right? Because you had said you were going to read for you, not for yeah, you cheated. And do you understand why I didn't want to say that until you could see it? Okay, so that's awesome, Beth. Great learning, right? I'm so proud of you. All right, so hang on a second. So Linda's saying the tall boy sorted and 20 listings. Okay, so let's get Linda down. Okay, Jody, I'm doing this. Don't worry. Okay. All right, Sakura's saying that for the week she wants to clean her living room to the point, no more keep boxes, and just sort or sale, right? Clean the kitchen, put away groceries later after shopping. Okay, that's a big list. All right, let me just hang on a second. So, Sakura, we want, what did she say? So only sort or sale. Yes, so what you're saying is sort it or sell, right? In other words, if you want to keep it, go put it away. There's no box to put it away later. Good. All right, I like that. That's clever. All right, and clean kitchen. You need Beth for that. I'd love to see Beth clean a kitchen. Clean kitchen. Put groceries, put away groceries. Okay. All right, so Manon wants to open up her Etsy shop. Wow. I've often wondered about doing that. Let me know if it works for you. Oh, and Linda. Wow. Yes. All right. So that's, Beth, I want you to hear this, right? There's so many of us, and Sakura is saying this. I want to learn from Beth on ways to make my place sparkly clean in no time. And Beth's saying, oh, cleaning. My happy place with my rubber gloves and my apron. Yeah, and I think a lot of us would love to, you may, something, Beth, you need to consider putting your knowledge to good use here and do some tutorials with us. In your spare time. Because I bet you the way you clean, I'm learning though, Beth, I have to tell you, I keep thinking about you. And I literally, and Sakura, I would recommend this. I actually will look at something and I go, how would Beth clean this? And I don't know if I'm right. The first thing I believe that Beth would do is take everything off there, clean it, and then decide what to put back. And I do that now, Beth. I used to lift everything and whatever. Now I take everything off and go clean it. That's what you need to do, is clean it. And then everything that goes back needs to be cleaned. So whether it's a shelf, whether I'm doing the same thing in my fridge, all right, which is, yes, Beth, that's what I can, and I totally can hear you talk to me, Beth. You know, you go, and then clean what came out before you put it back in. That's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm not only that, I am now finding containers that fit better. In other words, I want to pull one container out of the fridge and it's all my lunchtime stuff, or one container that's all my things like sour cream, cream cheese, in butter, you know, all in one container. Okay, so this is good stuff. So Manon, containers are your friends. That's right. I'm really seeing that. Oh, and by the way, Beth, the other thing I took is I found a container that I thought would probably fit into a space in my RV when I get it, my tray, my fifth wheel. And all my makeup has to fit into that container. What I call my go-to, my backup type makeup. I have what I call my daily makeup, which consists of my contours. By the way, I use my contours for my eyeshadows a lot because during the week, you know, that works for me. But all my, high color stuff, all right, it goes into the box. I only bring it out when I go out. Does that make sense to anybody? In other words, I haven't got it out all the time because I only use it when I go out. So when I go out, let me pull out the box that has the fancy stuff in it. Because on a day-to-day basis, I just need this, and the stuff that does the the makeup, right? So, I find it really interesting. Yeah, Beth's saying I have one drawer for my makeup. If it doesn't fit, it has to go. And that's what I'm learning to do. Containers and labels, very, very important. Hang on one second. If I disconnect, how many of you have seen what I've been doing with my tissue boxes, my Kleenex boxes and things? Because I'd love to show you. Okay, hang on a second. Let me see what I must not disconnect the headset. I can disconnect that. I can disconnect the power. Okay, we're going for a walk, people. So let's hope I don't mess everything in the process. Because what I want to show you is what I did. Some light going. Light. Hang on. Don't want to make you seasick, people. Okay. It's not brilliant light, but hopefully it will do. Can you see? I don't know if you can see. Can you see what I've done up there? Those are all Kleenex boxes. And it's amazing. Okay, let me just go through this. It's like birthday bows, hand towels, tea lights, floor scratching stuff, soap, light plates, LED lights, they're all in little boxes. And all those things that used to take up so much space, right? Yeah, and your day-to-day makeup fits in. If you think about it, if you really ask yourself, if you only could keep certain makeup, what would you keep? So to me, what this downsizing has taught me is containers. I agree with Beth. Containers are your best friend. Even if the containers are used boxes, I just Yeah. Well, you know, it's any leftover box. I now paint it and then put it into the cupboard. You know, because every time I need. Hang on a second. The other thing really helpful, you get your fruit in these containers. I love these. I'm taking these down to the garage. And hang on one second. Maybe I can reach. Hold on. And what I'm doing is I'm putting certain tools, but what I wanted to be able to see was the tools. So this is all stuff, all the tools that go with my screwdriver. All right. So I've got lots and lots of different bits that go in it, but they're all in one container. So what I'm looking for is to have, when I move, a workshop room, when I say a room, but one area, and all this stuff will be stacked up. It's no longer going to be on just lying around. It's going to have a proper place. See, Beth is saying, and this is correct, Beth, you're right, all right? Which is why I created this. Beth is saying she's a minimalist. I have one eyeshadow palette, one foundation, one mascara, and I wear lip gloss. That's why I said if I could only keep one lipstick, I probably would keep the Mood Matcher. Right? But again, if you think about it, your day-to-day lipsticks are not the same as the ones you probably wear to go out. So put the ones, unless you go out every day. Okay. let me find out what that's called. Home Edit. Is that what it is? Sorry, it's Home Edit on Instagram. Okay, good. So what I have found, what I have found is that I am learning. This is a learning process. I am literally going through my kitchen for the third time. You know what I mean? It's like, there's certain things you let go of, and then you learn to live without them for a month, and then you go, okay, what else can I live without for a month? And if I can live without a lot of things I have already had in the garage for 6 months, so what do I know? And I haven't been down to get them. Kitchen stuff is down. It's difficult to downsize. Yes, I was looking at that today, Beth. And the thing about kitchen, what takes up the space in a kitchen? All right, as we're all taking steps forward in terms of decluttering our lives, our minds, let us also think about decluttering our kitchens. All right, so what things take up the most room in your kitchen? I literally am on the third downsize of my whisks, my wooden spoons, spatulas. Yes, the interesting thing is get the, Beth is saying the quality stuff that we don't often use, but except for special occasions like Thanksgiving or Christmas, they need to be stuck away somewhere, right? They should not be in your kitchen. All right, so Sakura is saying appliances that we don't use take up a lot of room. The home edit. Okay, thank you. I will check that out. Especially if Jody also reminds me on that one. All right, so I have asked myself, of all my kitchen gadgets, which ones do I want to take with me? I want to take my big stock pot, not stock pot, what do you call it? Slow cooker. Why? Because I know, because I've seen it happen there, that they do a lot of what I call potluck stuff where everybody gets together. So, you know, a slow cooker is a good thing to have for that. I will take my halogen oven, even though it's big. And the reason I will is because I want to start doing more stuff with it. And the oven in the fifth wheel is fine, but not as big in some ways. So, and I will take my toaster oven for sure. I've got a big toaster oven. Do I still have the pineapple slice? Yeah, I do. Yes, I do still have the Cora. Yes, Beth. Beth says she can't do without her Vitamix for smoothies. You're right, you'll always make room for it. I will definitely reconsider how big a coffee maker I need. All right. At the moment, I probably will take mine with me, but I have a feeling I might downsize the size of it next time. When this one wears out, I will downsize the size of it because most of the time I'm just making a coffee for me. And this is like, I do use K-cups anyway, but I got a big K-cup. Yeah, a big machine, a Keurig. I think I might downsize to a smaller one. So I have got a coffee press. I have it in the trailer, but I find it messy to clean. By the way, for those of you who've got a Keurig or a K-cup type coffee maker, do you have the fill it yourself pods inside? I don't buy the coffee in pods. I actually buy coffee and fill up my own. And the reason I do that is what I do is I mix some, cheaper coffee with high quality coffee. You know what I mean? That's how I do it. It's, and if anybody comes to visit, they get pure high quality coffee. But I just like to, whatever's on sale, I will buy, and then I'll top it up with some decent tasting coffee. So I mix it all together and then make my little pods. I have about 12 of them now that I work with. And by the way, if you just put them aside and let them dry, they empty out really easily. And they dry in about a day or two, right? So it's nice. I rotate mine through that way. I have four made, 4 drying, and 4 that are still wet. So do I still use the pineapple gadget? Yes, when I get pineapple, which is not very often. Yes, Jody also says that they have the refillable K-cups. Yeah, they're great. And I just mix my own coffee blend that way. All right, so the big things. Oh, now I've got a big blender. I would keep my blender. I've got a small blender and a big blender, but I would keep the big blender, out of the kitchen probably because I don't use it more than about once a week. See, the thing that I realize now is you need to see what do you use every day. And if you want to know what you use every day, and this would be what I would recommend because I've been doing it, take everything out of a cupboard and stick it in a box. And then as you use it, leave it in the cupboard, right? And if you know that when you use it, I know I don't use this very often, then put it back in the box and see how often you pull it out of the box. I now have separate, even for things in my, what do you call it? in my pantry, there is certain things that, you only use very, very infrequently. I find what takes up a lot of space. How much space do your spices and herbs take up? Because I realize I got way too many. I got way too many and I don't use them all. But I now want to find vertical ways of keeping them. I think I'm going to decant them into small plastic bags and put those small plastic bags into containers so that I can still have them, but they're not taking up, rows and rows of bottle space. I literally am going to have them in a container. And so when occasionally you do want bay leaves, you've got them. They're herbs. They're dried. They're going to last forever. But it'll be interesting to see how much room I make doing that. Does that make sense? Yeah, I've got a spice rack above my stove. I've got more herbs and spices than you can shake a stick at. But what do I use every day? Things like Montreal steak spice and salt and pepper. I use regularly. Oh, lemon pepper. I use lemon pepper on my salads. So this is like, okay, that's what I use every day. The rest of it can go in a box somewhere. Am I going to a fifth wheel or a 2-story building? I know it sounds, I will have much too much, Manon. But it's funny how much you can get in it if you do it in a smart way. And a lot of cubies. And also, this particular fifth wheel has been completely surrounded with space underneath it. Everywhere there's another opening where you can put more stuff. So I'm actually taking a lot of stuff that most people would never dream would fit into a fifth wheel, because I've seen this fifth wheel. This guy did a magnificent job of making storage everywhere. Cubies have changed your life. That's what Jody says. Cubies have changed mine. For example, anything that is in my pantry that is tall goes in a cubie, and the whole cubie goes in. So I know if it's a tall bottle, it's in this one, right? Because then it frees up space for the shelves that are left to put things that aren't tall. But, all the tall bottles, all the tall things. The other thing is how much of your pantry space is taken up with packaging. Yes, Manon, right? You can put some magnet type stuff and put them underneath. I actually, what I like to hang from my cupboards are my mugs. All right. I have S hooks in my cupboards that hang down, and I hang my mugs. Okay. How much mess is there in my kitchen? Hang on a second. But yes, I agree with you. Let me just, sorry about that. I disconnected the headset as well, but I'm sure you can still hear me, right? So what I did was I hang my mugs. See that? From S hooks, and I find that really works very well for me. But it's all a learning process, right? It's like, what can you, and it's not a one-day thing. Can you still hear me? Yeah, I love the, okay, I'm going to try and put this back in again. And if it doesn't work, I will unplug it again. Okay, can you still hear me now? I feel like the Verizon there. Can you hear me now? Good, thank you. So now we know that's a doable. I can unplug it and then put it back in again. But, you know, my whole life is now, if I can only have 1 cubic of this thing, what do I want to put in here? And I think it really helps. And then again, you know, it's like, but put things so you can see them. You understand? In my workshop, I want to be able to see all the different tools. I want to know what's in there. Because you know how many tools I can fit in there? Little tools, things like bits and drills and, you know, stuff like that. It's amazing. And then I can keep them high up, you know, in my, because I've got a she shed, otherwise known as a man cave. There is a, you know, special area there that's like almost it's very small, but, you know, again, you've got to think creatively. I am considering using that as my art studio, because I can heat it and I can put some sort of air conditioning in there. So the first year I will see whether actually the first year I won't even probably try and do anything but keep boxes in there that I'm trying to unpack. But then, you know, after a while, I want to see what is it like in there in the summer? Is it somewhere where I can paint? Or do I need to air condition the extension that is, this fifth wheel has a 20-foot extension on it, Manon, at the side. So you actually come out of the door and there's another room. So to me, I thought it's a really, well, I can send you the link if you'd be interested to see it, Manon. I've got a private link that I, you know, send to people who I know. Well, that's what yeah, exactly. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to say, I downsized from 2,500 square feet to 500. And this is what I kept. That's what I want to be able to do. And, you know, what I'm finding is do it slowly. Exactly, Beth. You see, I think we'd all like to do it, right? So to me, I'd love to do it with you guys. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I'm trying to discuss with you because I'm going, I wish I had learned this 20 years ago, you know, and started doing it. Because the other thing is this, when you get to 71, you also got to think, you know, if I drop dead tomorrow, you know, somebody's got to clean up my stuff. It's all going to end up in a dumpster anyway. So what do I want to keep? And I'm starting to literally, in my garage, I have got one area of stuff that's going with me, possibly. The other, I have an area where stuff that's going to go into a dumpster. You know, and I throw a bit out every week in the regular garbage day thing. But, you know, I'm literally doing it week by week. I cannot tell you how important that is. Take 2 hours in a week or even 10 minutes in a week and start going through your life and go, this is insane. 5 years ago, I boxed up all my books. I've got boxes of books somewhere. I've never opened the book. There are a couple of books I want out of there. One is, you know, but they're all going to go to charity. They're going to go to a charity book sale, you know, where people buy books for $1 at a time. So what do I do with all the silver? You know, I've got big candelabra and stuff that in the days when we used to entertain a lot. I tell you what I will still take with me, I believe, and I don't know where I'm going to put it. Maybe in my bedroom. I have a big butler's tray, a silver big butler's tray. Do you know what a butler's tray is? But, you know, a big tray, and it's probably yay wide and with big handles on it, and it's silver. I will take that with me because that's part of my heritage. And But I will probably put it in my bedroom and keep makeup and stuff on it, but still keep it. So I will make room, or maybe in my bathroom, because my bathroom has enough space, that I could do that. But it needs cleaning. Beth? So to me, it's really important. So taking these little steps forward is not just about downsizing your life, it's about downsizing your mind. I look at my how would you clean it, Beth? That's what we want to know, is how would Beth clean it? I want to tell you something, Beth, it's amazing how many people follow people who can clean on the internet. I just need you to know. So I now make, do you make your own cleaning liquid, Beth, or do you buy yours? I think we all love to watch them, Beth, and that's why we're saying, that you've got the personality and you've got the looks to run your own channel here. Of course, we would miss you, but you make your own as well. Okay, how do you make yours, Beth? So, and then I'll talk about how I make mine. What do you put into your own cleaning liquid? I make my own dishwasher soap. I make my own soap for the washing machine, and I make my own disinfectant type stuff. So to me, it's like, oh, and I make my own jet dry that goes in the dishwasher. What else? Saves a fortune. I haven't learned how to make my own Clorox yet. I'm sure that it can't be that difficult. So I still buy Clorox or what do you call it? Comet type stuff. But to me, remember what we said on the quote very early on. Very early on, we talked about, with the internet today, ignorance is just a choice. All right? Ignorance is a choice. In other words, if you want to make your own cleaning supplies, there is a plethora, if I can use the word, an absolute abundance of ideas on the internet. And you just need to test a couple and find out which ones work for you. I cannot tell you how much money it saves to use your own. And also, you haven't got all that packaging. Half the problem that takes up space that I found is the packaging. So you get, for example, I might have washing soda in a box, but it's only got that much in it. But I'm still got this whole box. So the trick is to get it out of the box, if you can. The other thing that I am doing is, be right back. Okay, one of the other things I'm doing is repurposing stuff. For example, I've got these old Folgers containers. And what I'm doing is I'm keeping, this one's got oats in it for my smoothies in the morning. This one's got flour. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is, I've noticed in the trailer, there is one small corner in the kitchen, and I'm actually going to stack them up this way. out of the cupboards, just like this, right? Because they are bulk grains. So now, by the way, do you want to know why I've got, this is press and seal. Yeah, actually, because, so, you know, to me, this is like repurpose things, you know, get them out of the packaging and repurpose them. Actually, no, Beth, I once had some grains arrive that had, I don't know, I think it's called wheat moth or something in it. Grain moth or something, I don't know, but I got infestated with some sort of weird thing. You know, I bought some flour or some, I can't remember whether it was rice or flour or something like that. And there was something in it. And it took me a year to get my house cleaned of them. And so, but what I do is this. Hang on a second. I've got to be able to pick it up again. What I do is I put this in here with the sticky side down. So if there is anything in there, this needs replacing, it's not sticky anymore. If there is anything in there, I'm going to know because it's going to be stuck to the top. When it goes looking for air, it's going to stick to the top and I'm going to know, is this clean or not? Just a little tip. If you've ever had it, mealy, I don't know what it's called, but I tell you, I got it infestated once and it is not nice. Literally, it took me about a year to get that out of my, get those things out of my life. Horrible. Don't recommend it at all. And now and by the way, you're probably asking me, how often do I find something? I think only once since then since I've been doing this, only once did I find one. And I just threw the whole lot away. Took it right out of my house and put it straight into the garbage. Like, I don't want to be dealing with this again. You know, out of my life. No more drama. I'm not as stupid as I look. So hopefully this has been a little helpful to you. But you know what it is you want to do this week. We will be checking back with you next Friday to see how you did. Beth, before I go, I want to find out, what excuses did you give for not sitting down and reading? By the way, I was supporting you, Beth. I actually downloaded John McCain's book into my tablet and started to read so that I could say I did 2 hours of reading as well. Right? And I did. How about, but what I want to know is, what excuses did you give yourself? You chose to clean instead of relaxing. Good. Beth, why? What does cleaning bring you? I need you to understand why you do this. Cleaning makes me happy and gives me a purpose of accomplishment. Yes. You see, here's the thing, Beth. Your challenge in life, all right, your challenge in life is to understand that your way of coping with life was to do things so that people would be impressed with what you did, right? When I clean too much, I'm stressed. Of course you are, right? Plus your heart rate is up. That's why, did you get your watch yet, your I'm a Slob watch? Because that's why I really think you need one of these, because you need to know what you're doing to yourself when you do this. So everybody needs to, you do the opposite of what I'm doing, all right? I used to be the Energizer Bunny as well. I need you to know that. But here's the thing. If you can understand why you clean, when you can really understand that this actually was a behavior that brought you achievement, you were good at it. And therefore, you felt good about yourself when you did it. Well, Beth, here's the thing. Manon says 5 minutes at least a day of reading. Put a book in your washroom and teach yourself, that even if it's just while I sit on the throne, let me read something. Cleaning procrastination for you? That's what Manon is asking. All right? You do cleaning instead of other things like looking after yourself. So here's what I would recommend. For a week, Beth, start saying to yourself, I'm allowed to clean after I have read. If you've done the regular stuff, but you don't go and do the in-depth stuff that you like to go and do until after you have read. Now, the trick is you need to go somewhere where you're not going to get disturbed by life or watch what's dusty. So part of me goes, here's a concept, Beth. What if you take a book and drive to your local park and sit on a park bench and read for an hour? Do you think you could do that? Yeah. How many of you understand what I'm getting at? That would show that you intended to read, right? You got in the car and you drove, or if it's raining, go to the local coffee shop, take your book with you and drink your coffee and read. By the way, what book do you want to read? Do you know? So Manon, if cleaning is Beth's procrastination, what is yours? Oh, and by the way, for those of you who've been following my, I should really get out of here, but I just wanted to show you this. You remember the heart rate graph that I've been showing you? I just wanted to show you where it's at now, because it's important to see this. This is my resting heart rate. Still, okay. So you see this huge rise, and now it plateaued a bit, but I'm pretty sure it's still on the way down. But I still think this is incredible to see this. So I'm still got it under control. It's not going up, unlike my weight, which I'm still working on. So everybody, I hope this has helped some of you. And this is about us, all right? This is not about the rest of the world. This is about what do we, this group of us that want to keep moving forward, what do we want to do this week? What one step are we going to take? Beth, we will believe that you have self-control when you pop in here and go, I did it. Right? Yes, Manon's saying, go find a book that you really want to read. All right? Don't worry about whether it's a bestseller or anything else. If you want to read, I can remember one Christmas, Beth, I gave all my female friends a beautiful, really beautiful bath towel, some bath salts and things like that. And then on top, I put what I call a penny dreadful romantic novel. You know what I mean? This is like take a minute and read something just totally non-impressive. You know, this is for you. Oh, by the way, I put a bottle of wine in as well. And it was just like, you know, I gave it to all my female friends for Christmas. And it was like, do this for you. So I really did want to hear, watching TV show and I can do nothing, thinking I need to do something. Yes, that's very difficult to do. I've now changed the way that I do that. I do that just before I go to bed. I watch the TV show I want. And luckily, you know, now we can do it on the internet. Yeah, I don't watch TV shows until I'm just about ready to go to sleep. As I say, I watch TV shows with my eyes closed. I use it to put me to sleep 9 times out of 10. I use YouTube because I want to learn something, and I use the TV to go to sleep. All right, I need to get out of here, otherwise I won't be here for the next broadcast. People, I hope this has helped some of you. And by the way, I really must say that finding a good use for toilet rolls has always been my goal. And I've now am happy. The other thing is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a magnet inside and then attach them to my trailer in my addition. You know, like that's all going to be aluminum. And I'm going to actually attach them there. So no more storage. They'll actually be attached to the outside of my trailer, which is enclosed. How many of you going? Good thinking, sir. So, and I'm going to put my artwork. I'm going to attach magnets to my artwork too. I'm going to have my own little art gallery on the side of my trailer. And, you know, I also thought I'm going to actually start painting, especially for people with trailers that don't have a lot of room for artwork. But I'm going to, you know, I'm going to actually specialize in artwork for trailers. How about that for a new niche? All right, everybody. So have a wonderful day. And downsize. Take the step to use less, do less, but be more. Make sense? This is DearMamaSal saying, look after one another as we do every week. And we are a very special group of people because of that. All right. This is not about pleasing the world. This is about let us do this for us. This is DearMamaSal saying, thanks for being here. Hope it helped a little. It sure continues to help me. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.